Welcome to the nightclub, guys. It's your host, the Night Wrencher. Now, this is my Dana 44. This is a full-time axle out of my 1975 Dodge W100. I mentioned that it is a full-time axle, so there aren't any kind of lockable hubs on it. This is a very infamous axle because nobody really likes these for the main reason. This thing's kind of stuck. That they are really hard to work with. So the only way to make these actually functional in like a modern rig, or if you wanted to put that in a Jeep or something, you'd actually have to take these knuckles off and swap them out for either a early to mid 80s, early 90s Chevy or Dodge front spindles, knuckles, whatever. And then that's what you would be using from here on out. So actually, I'm not even going to be using these knuckles. I'm going to be using the knuckles out of the 85 axle that's in my Dodge currently, but it is a CAD axle. What that means is that it has on this side of the axle, it'll have this little box on here, and it'll be this like big clunky thing right here, and then this becomes a really weak point. What it is, there's a half shaft that goes here, and then there's a little locking ring, and then inside of that locking ring there's another shaft that goes to the differential. And that becomes a weak point when you're wheeling or off-roading kind of heavy. Also, it takes up a little bit of ground clearance, and it's kind of ugly. So I'm going to be redoing this housing, but with the CAD ends. And then I'm going to be taking off the CAD gear that's in the middle. I'll be showing you guys later. And swapping into manual hubs. And then the disassembly wasn't all that difficult. It was no different than my standard CAD Dana 44. The hubs were a little bit more difficult to remove, but after I kind of figured out how this whole thing was assembled, taking it apart was not too big of a deal. Provided that you have the right tools, you can pretty much take apart any one of these axles. It took standard bolts. 12.38 were the only special bolt that we had to get rid of when I got rid of the inside carrier for the bearing. Everything else is like 5/8, 9/16, half inch. Pretty basic stuff. Nothing too out there, nothing too crazy. And overall, it was still a pretty enjoyable experience now that I actually know how to take these apart. It's a shame that these axles are not in production anymore. They're not very liked in the community because they're actually pretty simple to work on after you get the hang of it. But I'm actually pretty happy that we're going to be switching over to the knuckles on my part-time Dana 44 because it's just relief knowing that I can play around with the drive shaft and maybe make my own drive shaft, and I won't have to worry about having to spin it on the freeway at high speeds, getting unwanted vibration, and I'm also not going to have that weight lugging around as I drive around, so that's always a plus. Aside from the excessive dirt and grime and grease and more dirt and more rust, everything came apart pretty smoothly. I didn't really have to toast anything with the torch, and overall I'm pretty happy with the way I was able to get it out. No broken bolts, and so far we can go ahead and keep moving forward. Alright, so I've got my entire differential broken down except for the pumpkin, which I'm not going to do until I go ahead and receive my new gears. That way when I pop the cover, I can go ahead and clean everything inside all in one go. In the meantime, I'm going to be working on the outer C's. I've set the pinion angle here to 0, but it's on a 4-degree shim. It's on a 4-degree shim, so the pinion is kicked up 4 degrees from factory. Alright, so I've managed to pull the C off after a lot of carnage on this. I was finally able to get the C out. I've got the C right here. It's really hot because I did heat it up with the torch a little bit just to get it moving. And it's right there ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and sandblast it. Scuff up the inside a little bit, get all the crud out, and then I'm going to hit this with the flap wheel so it's easy to reinstall. I took off more material than I needed to, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way things were explained to me in the beginning. From all the write-ups and everything that I was reading, it said that you had to cut, you know, almost at a 45 to get the grind out, or to get all the weld out. and get like the fused material. From actually doing this myself, I realized that you don't actually really need to go far at all. You actually just want to go straight this way and just try to go into the C as much as you can. When you try to do it like that, you're going to go ahead and it'll remove the material from the C as well as a little bit off the tube, and it's probably going to come out a little bit cleaner than it is if you're trying to hit it at an angle down this way. You're going to want to go this way instead. When I do the second one, that's what I'm going to do, so I'm pretty sure that's going to work a lot better, and I'm going to waste a lot less material. This is going to take a lot of weld to fill back up, but it'll still be in good shape after. This one came out a lot better. You guys can see that I left a lot more meat on this side of the axle, and I did change the direction of me using it. The only part that I did have to go a little bit further down was the area that had the mount for the shock, and that one I did end up eating it a little bit, but it's nothing a little bit of welding can fix. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I'm going to clean up the C, and then we're going to go ahead and set this thing to 0 and then reinstall the C's. Okay, so I've finished cutting the C's off. I've got both C's off on this axle, and what I did was I went ahead and I put the shim that I was going to use up in the front, and then I went ahead and zeroed it out with my little angle finder. Then I took my jack and I raised it up 10 degrees from the place that I had it at 0, and then I went ahead and installed the C's back on. With the pinion set at 10 degrees, I set the C's back on 0. That way, when I go back and level it back out, the differential is going to be at the level it's supposed to be at 0, but the C's are going to be 10 degrees positive caster. The reason I'm going 10 degrees, it seems to be, with big tires, it seems to be a good way to bring your tires back to center. I had a really big problem of my tires not returning back to center, and it was a very, very light steering wheel. So I do want a little bit more of an aggressive steering wheel. Also, if I decide to add bigger or thicker shims on the axle, I can go ahead and do so, and I'll only go back, let's say I have 4 degrees right now. If I put an 8 degree shim, I'll go from 10 degrees to 6 degrees, which is still acceptable. So I'm pretty much future proofing, so I never have to do this ever again. This is a one time and done. I don't think even these axle tubes would probably survive a second round. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the C's. You guys can see that I have it set at 0 right now. And I'm going to go ahead and install the other one. I'm going to mark it with the Sharpie, and then I'm going to use the lube to go ahead and push these back to where they're supposed to be. You're not supposed to use any kind of oil, no kind of greasy film. What I'm going to use, and this is a trick that I actually picked up from Dirt Lifestyle here on YouTube as well. He uses what's called spatter spray. So it's for welding, and you spray it on a material that you feel that you're going to get like metal flakes or spatter on your material, and that spray is supposed to be able to prevent the metal flakes from sticking to it, and then you could just wipe it off. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use the spray, the liquid, to push it in, but then I'm also going to be welding around it, and the spatter spray is perfectly 100% weldable, so there's no problems there. Alright, so I've got both C's on the axle now. That's all good to go. The only thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and preheat one C at a time, and then after I've got it to a good temperature, I'm going to go ahead and start tacking it in place, and after the tacks are done, I'm going to go ahead and do full-on beads all the way across, one side at a time, because I do want to keep the C nice and toasty. So we're getting pretty close. The next thing after that is to go ahead and pop open the differential and change out the carrier because we are going to be switching out the gears. My gears are not here yet as of right now, Friday, but they might be here maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. But I do want to at least get the carrier out and get it all disassembled. If not, I'm going to go ahead and disassemble the 44 that's on my truck right now, at least to get the axles out in case I need to swap out the ends of the axles. I can go ahead and swap them out. Alright, so I finished welding the C's back onto the axle housing. The tubes, I think they're pretty well welded. They're not the most beautiful welds you've ever seen, but I'm pretty sure they'll get the job done. If you guys have been following my channel for a long time, you guys know that my go-to welder that I use is this little 110 welder that I use for pretty much everything. I did overheat it about probably 4 or 5 times trying to get these beads going, but I also welded it on the inside as well. You can't really see it. Oh, actually I haven't finished welding this. Good thing you guys reminded me. The other side's all good to go though. That one's all welded on the inside. There you go. And we're gonna find out, because I'm gonna take this to the trail and I'm gonna give it a beating, then bring it back home, put it on the lift, and see if it's stuck. The next thing is obviously finish welding the center of that one, but I'm gonna go ahead and sand the entire axle, and then I'm gonna go ahead and prep that for paint before I actually finish taking it apart. Some people paint it after they put it all together. I actually want to paint it before because I want certain parts to be a certain color. This whole center section is going to be a gunmetal. The cover is going to be coated with a bed liner, and then have it be like a flat black or a gloss black. This is going to be a gloss black. The knuckles are going to be a gloss black. And I just kind of want, you know, if I'm going to do it, I might as well detail it since I'm here. I could just slap it all back together as is, with, but I do have this that I'm going to be touching on probably in another video. So I got these brand new gears. I got these from eBay. I don't know if Motive Gear is any good, but I've got the whole set, and I got it for 200 bucks. And this is going to be in my other video. Today I'm just going to be showing you guys the cutting and the turning. So in terms of this being done, I'm pretty much going to go ahead and check this out. In terms of it being completed, everything's all set to go. The C's are turned to 10 degrees. The pinion's already kicked up 4 degrees, so everything should be good to go from here. The rest will have to be in another video, so I will see you guys all in the next one. Night Wrencher out.